Going into a trade, learning the trade, and then starting a business in that trade is probably one of the easiest ways to start a business in America.
Senor Vato. I'm a dog shit roofer. I'm not a roofer. You know?
I was on the roofs till 8 o'clock with Leo every night.
Right.
Like, that's not what I should have been doing.
But there's a degree of that time also has to get put in. Like, you got to be the fucking maniac with a headlamp on, putting bull on a leak at 9 when you have no reputation.
Tacos and sushi. Tacos and sushi.
There was a time where I wasn't even concerned with the way I looked when I was going and doing appointments.
There's a lot of roofers who still aren't concerned with the way they look.
Episode 3 of the Trade Up Podcast, where we're just going to talk shit on blue-collar business, what our lives are like in a blue-collar industry, and...
Not talk shit on it, talk shit about it. He said talk shit on a blue-collar business. Man, fuck that blue-collar business. Yeah, discuss our fucking game here.
Yeah. Last week we didn't talk about...
And we were too excited.
Yeah.
A little quick to the trigger.
All right, my whole thing with the blue-collar industry, I ended up a blue-collar guy because I was a fuck-up.
Mm-hmm.
I was a fuck-up kid. I never got anything going in life. I learned how to roof because I was a fuck-up, so I failed out of college. I could go roof for my dad. Fucked up a job, I could go roof for my dad. Fucked up anything, could go roof for my dad. So it was always the backup plan. Mm-hmm. And even my dad didn't want me to be a roofer. Never. He wanted me to have a better life. So that's the stigma on blue-collar shit. But it's an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, my dad was more about it's a really good opportunity.
He was.
Yeah. Like, I did my fucking 10th or 11th grade career project on heating and air conditioning. And the guy who was there that we had to do it for, and I remember, like, it was like, I think it was like $60,000. It was like, you can make a career for yourself and make up to $60,000. And the guy, like, laughed. He's like, show me one plumber or HVAC guy making $60,000. I was like, my dad. He's like, I don't think he told you the truth. I was like, who the fuck are you? And that dude, like, burned in my mind. I know what he looks like.
Yeah.
Like, and I thought for, like, it kind of, like, tricked my head up about it a little bit. It was like, is that the exception? Like, is that only certain people make it there? Or, you know, like, my dad always was like, it's a good opportunity. There's always work. If you're skilled in a trade, you can always go and find work somewhere with somebody. Mm-hmm. But he was not, like, from a family, like, they were, like, farmers. Like, he was not from a family where it was like, go to college. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and neither was my dad. Our generation was the first one to go to college. My sister was the first one to graduate college.
What about your mom?
No.
No?
No. But my dad, he kind of got a little bougie. Mm-hmm. Country club living.
Yeah, dude, he's got the whitest feet with the tannest legs. It's a good problem to have.
BMW driving.
Yeah.
So I think he made friends with people from that world, and obviously none of them were in construction. They all had different types of ways that they made their money. Mm-hmm. So I think that he saw roofing as second class, even though that's what made him successful.
He probably saw them and thought that's an easier route to here than what he had to do.
Which, to be fair,
it
probably is. But what kind of man do you become when you take the harder route?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely learn life lessons working physical manual labor. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I've worked both jobs. I worked in an office for a year and a half after high school. Mm-hmm. And then I went and started doing heating and air conditioning. Getting up at 5 and going to work and working, like, in the cold, having to literally work hard to not be freezing cold is, like, a different mindset than, like, your day starts at 9 in an office and you just fucking... But, like, I don't really know what an office job where you earn a degree and go and are something is. Like, I was just, like, a fucking data entry dipshit. But there was a million data entry dipshits.
And a lot of them probably had college degrees.
Yeah,
that's the other thing.
A lot of them were 45 years old. Like, that's their whole career. And I'm not shitting on anybody. But, like, the difference between the people in the two jobs is clear. Mm-hmm. Now, some of the blue-collar guys are rough around the edges and shit, too. So, like, there's two sides to everything.
But also with the blue-collar shit, we can advertise blue-collar as a good way where you can honestly, realistically make $100,000 a year once you're good at it.
Yes.
As the worker.
Yes.
As the doer.
Yes.
But you can also make way more than that.
Right. So the mind for business coupled with skill in a trade is like, what are we talking about?
But I think you learn the mind for business.
I think it's two things. I think there are two things. There are people who are masters of their craft and they wake up and go to work for somebody every day and do the thing they're the master of. Mm-hmm. No intention, no desire, no drive to be the business owner. Mm-hmm. Like, that's fine. The world needs that guy. Mm-hmm. But, like, if you're the other guy who can... And you really don't need to be a master of your craft. I think most, like, successful blue-collar business owners are not necessarily a master of their craft, but they know their craft and they they assign people who can be masters of that.
It has very little to do with it once you get on the business side
Right.
of it, whether or not you were great at that trade or not.
Yeah, like I'm a dog shit roofer. I'm not a roofer. You know, like
It doesn't matter.
But we're in roofing.
The fact that I was a roofer comes into play very little anymore.
Yeah.
You know, maybe in conversations with guys,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I know what the fuck they're talking about, but like you even know what the fuck they're talking about.
Right.
So like the fact that I was a roofer literally means nothing at this point.
Right. It's that stuff's just an understanding of construction on some level, like being able to explain the way shit works.
So I say a lot that starting a blue collar business, going into a trade, learning the trade, and then starting a business in that trade is probably one of the easiest ways to start a business in America. I think so.
For sure.
What do you think?
I tend to agree. Florida's different because they make you do that fucking test.
It's not that big of a deal.
I agree.
You buy the books, you
But,
take
like,
the test.
Truthfully, I decided I was starting my HVAC business in Pennsylvania. I had to do OSHA. What is it?
OSHA 30?
More.
Ooh, I don't know.
Maybe it's 30. Whatever. I had to do that to be able to work in the city of Philadelphia. That was the roughest part of it. Because, like, I was already working on these jobs in Philly.
Well, and that's the thing. If you learn the trade, you're in the trade, you're working in the trade, someone's paying you while you learn the business, you're making money, so
Right.
you're making a living. You're probably collecting your tools. You're probably buying a truck. You're doing all the shit. You know other guys that do it.
Right.
So the whole time you're getting paid, you're setting yourself up to go start a business.
Right. To what I was saying, I learned the trade and started my business essentially over the course of like 3 weeks. I had a guy call me and was like, I have 3 triplexes I need HVAC in. He's like, can you do it? I was like, how often are you going to have these? And he was like, every week. He's like, you do a triplex every week. He's like, or more if you can staff it. So I talked to Bridget. I misspoke last week. My shit wasn't all the way together when I met Bridget. It got all the way together after I met Bridget. And we were square by the time we had Maeve. We stayed at her parents' house for a couple months after. But in that time period is when I started the business and went full time for myself. And I was shocked at how.
Hold on. Let's back up. What was the investment to go out on your own? Officially, you start doing triplexes for this guy. Your first jobs, you, M. Stewart Mechanical. What was the investment? Was there
essentially $0? I had all my tools.
$0.
Being in the trade. Both of my brothers were in the trade. I obviously had to have the upfront money to get the material out there to start the job. So I think I probably had like $15,000 in the bank.
But you even on that note, you can. It's very
Yes.
reasonable to take a deposit.
Yes, it's
very reasonable.
Very reasonable to take a deposit. Also very reasonable to call your supplier and be like, hey, I have a big job for a good client. Can you float me to the end of the month? Not everyone's going to do it.
If you're already in the business and you're already going into the supply house and everybody in there knows who you are and it's one
Yeah.
job,
Yeah.
I would say in most cases, unless you're a dickhead and a dipshit and got a bad reputation, they're gonna float you.
Yeah, that's the other thing was like the supplier I was buying from was attached to the boss that I quit. But the boss that I quit, we just did his roof, gave me like the blessing. He's
Yeah.
like, get out there.
That's
see what you can
important.
do.
That's important. Leaving the right way.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of cases, like if anyone were to leave me right now, like Jose he's been taking the test to get his license. If he leaves, I'll help him.
Yeah.
Because he's told me way in advance. I know what he's
That's
trying to
his
do.
plan,
We're
right.
involved.
Right.
So when the day comes, I'm going to help him. So he'll leave the right way. And I'll always help him. But if you just fucking bail on somebody, you're burning the bridge to somebody that's got all these connections. You're fucking yourself up. But $0 investment to start a business.
Yeah, like I got rid of a car and bought a truck, so like there's that. But like I just kind of traded off my vehicle and added $175 a month. Like it wasn't like I needed to come out of pocket for anything.
Yeah, I mean, so show me a business that's easier to start.
Yeah, there
you
isn't
already
one.
know how to do the work. In a lot of cases, you probably don't even need employees because you know how to do the work and you're not going to have a lot of
You
jobs.
need almost no storage space to start. You don't need like a brick and mortar office. You can work out of your truck. Like I did most of my estimates on an iPad, send them to my wife, who would print them out at her mom and dad's house on the printer, or I would just email them straight from my iPad. And we were rolling. My first year, we did almost $1 million.
Right.
I didn't make it as far as I would have liked to of doing it full time because we were living in our parents' house. If we crossed over the fiscal year, I would have had to be in business for 2 years before I could buy a house. So I had to show a job, so I accepted a job with an offer letter guaranteeing X amount of dollars in order to buy my house.
And then it became like a side gig.
Yeah, then
all
it became,
yourself.
we would work every weekend. My brothers would work every weekend, and I had other guys who would work for me every weekend or at night. I stopped working in it altogether, which was nice. It was just like I would get an additional check. Like I was clearing over $100,000 a year easy and working like a pretty cushy 40-hour job. Like I was a superintendent, or not superintendent, like a project manager. And that was basically just roam around the job and put out fires and make sure things are set up, which like I'm good at. So, yeah, I was 28 essentially working like somewhat light duty and making over $100,000 a year because I had a side business.
And that's what I'm saying about like the blue collar industry's looked up. It's looked at as a backup plan. Like
Right.
me and you were fuck up kids. We couldn't get anything going. We were fuck ups into our 20s.
Yeah.
And we ended up
Just never took anything
We ended up
seriously.
in construction.
Right.
But it worked out for us because we got responsible, and then look what happened. You were able to start your own business with $0. Same. I had
Yeah.
no money, but I had my work van, I had my tools, and I knew how to do the work.
Right.
Took me no money to start. $0.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a huge benefit to anybody. And like an entry level job out of college might pay a little bit better than like a laborer job. For
Dude, at this point, barely.
yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. At this point.
If you take like our low level roofing guys that just do roofing every day, they're not like high up on the crew. They're not the foreman. Just what the guys make for a day's labor. They're close to what like the bottom office employee makes.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, actually, definitely. There's a lot of degrees I think that are just like they're obsolete. Like they're not something. Like it's not like you go earn. Yeah, it's not like you go earn it and then I'm done. I work my ass off. I have this degree. Here's this job. Like
Is that commonplace knowledge now? What
I think
you
it's
just said?
becoming that. Like I feel like I
Yeah.
hear that. I feel like I
Yeah.
hear people say that on the internet and shit.
I meet a lot of parents that are a little older than us with kids that are like teenagers now, and it seems like all of them still like I hear them talk about college, and it seems like that's like still for them what it is.
Yeah, and there's certainly jobs in construction that like a college degree will lead you to a good job as well. Construction management degree from Drexel, like somebody's gonna pay him over $100,000 no matter where he goes because that means something too. Like on a huge company scale, that means something. Like $100 million construction business pays superintendents $125,000 a year. There's that avenue, but you don't have to do that. Like
No.
you can make $125,000 without doing that, without tacking on $80,000 of debt.
We both agree that starting a blue collar business, if you learn the trade first, is the easiest way to start a business.
Yeah.
In America, I think so. There might be some other easy
Lemonade
ones.
stand. The margin.
Okay,
brother.
what's the top side on that? Okay, so it's the easiest one to start, but then to grow and maintain and become a household name and a real business, actual business, that's a different story.
You gotta have an iron set of cojones.
Only
Oh.
certain people are going to be able to make it to that
The
point.
grow is the big thing.
Yeah.
The grow is the big thing because every time I say it, I warn the people in our office a lot when you're not around. Like when we'll hit pockets where things feel very good, and I'm like, just know that this is a cycle. Like we got very uncomfortable, we all worked too much, sorted it out, it's smooth again, but we're not done. So like enjoy this little moment we're having because in 3 months we're gonna maybe not 3 months, but we're gonna take something new on, take something more on, and everyone's got to get uncomfortable again. You just need the right people who are able to adapt to that fucking nightmare of a change because it is so gay. It's rough.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like, you build systems to operate at a certain amount of volume, and then when you move up in volume and you stretch, it gets fucked up, and you realize where your systems are fucked up. And,
Yeah.
And everybody is like working chaotically because we're unorganized and the systems are broken. And then we fix it, and then it gets comfortable, and then it's just the same thing happens
Yeah,
over and
then
over
you
again.
add something new to the pot. Like if we add commercial flat next year, someone's getting very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's going to make a lot of people's job really hard.
Yeah.
Because it's a new
Because
thing.
we don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Uh-huh.
That's the kind of shit that I was saying. Growing is the motherfucker. Is like when you do start your business, you probably did what I did. I did residential repair for the most part, a little bit of new construction because it's easy, no headaches. But then you get into replacement. You get into like these large homes with multi-zone, whatever, or whatever it is. You start to do new things.
Dude, when I started doing like bangers of a house, like really nice houses,
you're making $18 a week.
yeah, dude, I was doing like $60,000 jobs and making like $1,200.
Yeah.
I remember I did one. You remember the name Tully?
Yeah.
I think I paid him $1,200 to do his roof. Beautiful house. I got some nice pictures out of it. Pictures we still use today. I paid him to
You
do
were
his
doing
roof.
Tully when that video came out as I was about to come here. The Tully video.
Yeah, because I switched to Foxhaven during his job. I remember. But let me back up. Blue collar guy learns a trade, goes out on his own, starts a business. What does that guy need to do to be successful and grow a real business? Not just have a job where he's making decent money because he's working for himself, which that may be what he wants to do. He may just want to be that guy. Sell jobs, do the jobs himself, do really good work for people, make a decent living, and that's his business. But a lot of guys want a real business, but they can't make it happen. Mm-hmm. Why did they fail?
Everybody's got different shit, but there's definitely a thing where like you're like, oh wow, I'm making money, and you can be comfortable immediately because you're used to getting a $700 paycheck or whatever it is, and all of a sudden you're seeing like $3,000 a week or whatever it is. So there might be that. Like it would be easy to see 3 times the amount of money for most people and be like, life was fucking so hard. This is it.
Yeah, I think that's more of a personality thing. Some people just have that never satisfied personality like I do, and some people just are like, oh, this is fucking great. I'm gonna spend time with the kiddos on the weekends. I'm gonna take off on Fridays. I'm gonna golf. This is great.
I just want to golf. I think another thing is like the ability to fill the roles that you got to get off of yourself. That's hard. That's really hard to do. I tried to do it for such a long time. I was calling people, offering them vans, pay, whatever, partnership. Like I offered our one buddy 30% of the company. I had all the work. I just needed somebody to be there so I could move on to the other shit. Because the guy I was working with was really getting into like big stuff, like 40+ unit apartment buildings, and like that's a lot of new construction volume. I could staff it with sub crews, but I needed somebody there, and I couldn't get anybody to take the swing because it is a risk, and it was just too much running to scale at whatever speed I was trying to scale at. I don't know, truthfully. I think a lot of it's complacency and a lot of it's just like a lack of knowledge of how to keep going.
When you because we agree that it's the easiest way to start a business this way. Learn a trade, start a business. But you don't know anything about business when you come up that way, which is fine. But you don't know shit about business. You know how to do the thing. You know how to run ductwork. You know how to put roofs on. You don't know shit about business. You don't even know certain things exist.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you know, what about building a sales team?
Dude, what about sending a proposal that's not typed up on fucking Word, dude?
Right. Like just everything.
Yeah.
Accounting, marketing. You don't know any of that stuff. You know how to do the thing. And you probably pay too much attention to doing the thing rather than the business, which is what all of us blue-collar guys do when we start a business. I did it. I was on the roofs till 8 o'clock with Leo every night.
Right.
Like, that's not what I should have been doing. I learned eventually, and I got out of that. But I think a lot of guys get stuck on the work.
But there's a degree of that time also has to get put in. Like you got to be the fucking maniac with a headlamp on, putting bull on a leak at 9 when you have no reputation.
Yeah.
So that when you're done, the neighbor will be like, "Hey, how'd they do?" You'd be like, "You won't believe it. It was fucking leaking. You got here at 9 o'clock at night and you fixed it."
Yeah. Done it many times.
You do have to do that for a time.
Yeah, I think it's funny you say that. Because, like, when you look back on, you're like, oh, I can't believe I was doing all that shit back then. Because you realize, like, what you needed to get to make it successful. But then if you think that way, which I agree with what you just said, you kind of have to be that guy. That's how you start. That's why everyone loved me in the beginning. I was at their house eating dinner with the guys at 8 o'clock at night. Well, how you not going to love me? You saw me a roof and I put my fucking soul into it. I was here from 6 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, you hadn't gotten rid of enough of that when you drugged me down here, dude. We were out there sweating our fucking nuts off.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what the early days were like. You start a business, you get going, you're fighting and calling to get it off the ground. You have no help. You start to get some momentum and you're doing jobs consistently, but you have no help. So you're typing proposals at night, you're doing permits at night, washing up in sinks and bathrooms at the grocery store to go do appointments.
Yeah, I used to keep a comb and hair product in the truck and a gallon of water. Because I would get so sweaty fucking with the guys and taking wood up the ladder for Leo and the boys when they did everything. And then I would have to go meet somebody. And I would take a fucking whore's bath in a CVS parking lot and do my hair and show up like everything was...
Well, by the time you got here...
It was already lighter.
Well, that too, but also there was a time where I wasn't even concerned with the way I looked when I was going and doing appointments.
There's a lot of roofers who still aren't concerned with the way they look. Sometimes I get double booked with these guys. They're fucking blowing sick smoke in the customer's face.
Yeah, I mean,
they're out there.
I was one of those guys. I smoked cigarettes. I wouldn't wash my hands. I would come right off working on the roof.
Fucking tar on your sneakers.
Shake some dude's hand. I'm fucking filthy. And I was selling jobs to the guys that like that. To the blue collar guys, like, all right, this guy's gonna do my roof. I like him. I was still well spoken, but I was showing up like fucking trash. You came down. You actually. I'll give you credit for this. You like upped the what do I call it? Fashion, style.
Presentation.
The presentation.
Yeah.
At this point, I was already wearing like golf shirts and shit, but it wasn't like, you definitely upped the way the Fox Haven boys dress. And now if you look at all the way the men dress in the company, we all dress the same. We all look nice.
Yes.
But I can give you credit for that. So
You can also give me credit for buying your first fucking car, dude. Going on dates in an F-250. Fucking roofing logo. You're like, dude, do I need a car? I was like, definitely need a car, dude. You definitely need a car.
And then that car got flooded like 2 weeks after I got it. Remember out front of my house?
You called me, you were like, you gotta get over here, dude. My fucking car's flooded. And I was halfway there, and you were like, I didn't think they just get in it and move it.
Because the water was up, like the whole
floorboards.
floor was wet.
Yeah.
So the car stunk after. So I didn't think you could just get in and drive it, but it fucking drove fine. Pulled right out of there.
Yeah.
I thought I was stuck.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know how to dress for roofing, for what we were doing. So like, I watched some shit online, and I was like, I think I just try to be clean. But like, again, that was impossible.
That's a big tip for if you're a blue collar business owner.
Yeah.
It's very easy to present yourself as more professional than the competition because
For a long time, we presented as much bigger and much more professional than we were.
yeah, and I would say even now, even still, we seem bigger than we are.
Yeah.
We're a pretty decent size now.
I say that all the time. I tell people that all the time. Like, I know it looks like we're a big company. I'm like, it's fucking me and my bud and a couple people in our office. Like,
Yeah.
We're not 65 employees, excluding the roofers, obviously. There's a shitload of roofers.
Yeah, if you
but
count all the roofers working in a day, it's a lot of fucking people.
It is still just like, you know.
No, we're small.
Small
we
office,
we still come off way bigger than we are. It's the truck wraps. It's how professional we dress. It's our sales folders match our business cards, match our trucks, match our shirts, match our website, match our
signs,
Instagram.
match our everything.
Dude, that shit matters.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know you're supposed to do that. Like, hey, don't use different fonts everywhere. Use the same fucking font. Use the same colors.
Don't use comics.
I didn't know that. My Andrew Thomas contracting shirts. Do you ever see them?
Yeah, dude, they stunk.
Did you? No, for real. Have you ever
Yeah, I
seen
saw
them?
'em.
With like the little roofing guy, and then on the back it said
Yep,
roofer. I
like
kept
a
the
jersey.
roofer.
Roofer's cool.
I
It looks
like
like a
that.
jersey.
I
I don't know how to say what I don't know how to articulate what I'm trying to say. I think that we settled on a common vision early, you and I. Like, even in talking about the name, you told me you had decided on the colors for the business. I was like, fucking sick.
Colors are dope.
Seahawks.
The
yeah,
colors are
let's
dope.
go.
That was
I fucked the Seahawks like Skip Birds.
Uncle Tommy on the colors.
Yeah.
I mean, he. I remember he said it a long time ago. He's like, if I was ever in business again, I'd go Seattle fucking Seahawks.
Yeah, it's the illest color combination.
Yeah.
There.
But dude, everybody that sees their trucks is like,
Yeah. Daryl hanging out the window. I don't know much, but I know that's the best looking fucking roofing truck in South Florida. But I do for real think that, like, you'll say something, you'll ask me something that you think, and I'll give you my opinion on it. And I feel like most of the time you're like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Every now and then it's like a, but what if? And we come to the, but I feel like we're pretty, like, on the same page. with
what's
most
an
of the shit.
example? Like of what you have in mind?
An old employee who called back to come back, and you were just like, you know, I don't know, you know, just the terms of when they left was we weren't entirely sure what happened. It's two employees, but what the conversation came down to, it's they know our system, they were solid when they were here. Worst case scenario, we move forward without them eventually, but like if they slide in, slide them in. And it was actually two people, and they're solid as a rock now.
Yeah.
But, like, you called me, you were like, yo, I'm thinking about bringing this person back. And I was like, what's the alternative? Hire somebody else for the position. They don't work out, too. Like, this is someone who knows. Bring them back.
Dude, and he was a fucking win.
Oh, yeah. He's a gem.
He's
You know
a-
what?
he's
Leave it
a-
in. Kaysen, you're fucking killing it, dude.
He's a fucking animal. He's so good at it.
He's really good at it.
Uh-huh.
But, like, that
Okay,
kind of thing. That kind of
Hold
thing.
on.
We, like,
Hold on,
discuss.
because this is a great I told you so moment for me.
Fuck you, dude.
Dude, I still remember I was driving on Green River, and I had you on the phone. I'm like, I think I'm gonna have Kaysen do estimates. This is when we had no office girl. This is when I had two cell phones on me. One was the office number and one was my cell phone number.
I did the
And
estimates at 9 p.m.
And I had Jaden. I had hired a driver so that I could answer all the phones while we were moving and use the computer. And I was like, how are we gonna get all this shit done, dude? I'm fucking trying to do permits in the truck while we're moving. I'm like, I think Kaysen's gonna do estimates. And you're like, what was it? Do you remember what you said?
I said he doesn't speak. Because he did it. He's a different guy now, too, for sure. But he didn't
your
fucking
exact
speak.
words were, Kaysen's a fucking dipshit.
Edit that. Kaysen, I do love you. You're doing great. You are a fucking dipshit, buddy.
And
But
we
he
di-
didn't speak to
and
him.
we did-
In my defense, at that time, he would not speak to anyone.
This will tell the whole story. My Uncle Tommy, a real wise guy. His reaction when he saw Kaysen was, that fucking kid, he reminds me of one of the school shooters.
He also called him Jason to his face for like 3 months.
Well,
He's like, what's his name, Casey or Jason? I was like, neither, brother.
He was really quiet. He was
Yeah.
always miserable.
Oh, yeah.
He was really awkward.
He's so much different.
He's a different guy. And he keeps getting better. He keeps moving up. And I remember he used to say, I asked him, I'm like, dude, why you always so miserable? I don't know, because work sucks. That was his answer. And I'm like, dude, you got to work. Everybody works. You got to work.
Dude, that's an attitude that people carry through their entire lives.
Right.
Every day, it's like work does suck, dude. Work sucks. What's fun is when you make work fun. Mm-hmm. You can go to work and be a dumpy diaper all goddamn day and ruin everybody's day around you. Or you walk in, hey, good morning. What are you doing? $100 says I make this fucking paper ball in the trash can. Let's go. Like, have fun. You don't have to be fucking miserable. But like being around people who aren't that way, because like, again, growing up in trades, there's been guys my whole life who are like, this fucking thing, motherfucker, this. And I was that way for a while. Mm-hmm. I eased my way out of it because I see the effect that it would have on the guys around me.
There's also a big piece of that. Kaysen's moved up. He's taken more responsibilities. He's learned a ton of new shit.
Right.
And now he's feeling very useful. Like, he knows that the company relies on him, like, big time. And he knows that. So then you get some self-worth out of that. Like, I'm moving up. I'm important here. People need me here. It changed.
I said to him, I was like, dude, and imagine if you didn't leave for a year. I was like, you help make sure that the business stays on track. Mm-hmm. And you left us for a whole year. Mm-hmm. Like I remember when he first came back, we got the second warehouse space like shortly after or whatever. Mm-hmm. He's like, for what? I was like, because we're growing. And then I was like, we got to get another truck. He's like, for who? I was like, we're getting a sales guy. He's like, for what? I said, because we're growing. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not done. Mm-hmm. You were here when it was nothing. You were actually here when it was a fucking small garage in your living room. Mm-hmm. And then you came back to, he left and it was just the first half of the office. He came back, we had built the second half of the office, and he was here when we added the new. Mm-hmm. So, like, you're seeing it happen around you relatively quickly. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine if you hadn't left. And he's like, yeah, I was just trying to figure some shit out. And I get that, for sure. He's young. He's like, what's he, 21, 22?
21.
But, like, I was told when I was young, don't be a fucking job jumper. Like, you can jump for $1 or $1.50 to a new job. Or you stay, you be a company guy, you become invaluable to your boss. And then you just say, hey, this company means something to me. I want to be here, but I need this to stay. That's easy.
People's time horizons are fucked up for the most part. People think that things should come quick.
Right.
And I feel like I'm constantly correcting people in their time horizon. Like, even something simple, like Rick thinking when he's going to get in great shape. I'm like, dude, imagine what you look like in 3 years. He's like, 3 years? What about 4 months? I'm like, because it doesn't work like that, dude.
Yeah, dude, I'm 12 weeks out.
But if you stay somewhere for 5 years, like, think about Case in 5 years from now.
Yeah, dude, he's going to be, if what I think in 5 years, realistically, would probably, in my mind, I think 20 to 30 million is easily achievable. Probably.
In 5 years?
Yeah. I think the leap gets tougher as we get bigger. I think we continue to leap. Tell me.
Pull your calculator out. Pull your calculator
You're
out.
going to do the doubles game.
Pull your calculator
I
out.
hear you.
All right, we're going to finish the year. We would have hit 11, but the Christmas stopping on the 22nd is going to fuck up our month. So we would have hit 11, but we're not. We're going to be at like 10.7 probably. Okay. This week, December, first week of December, we billed 405,000. So type that in the calculator.
Okay.
How many weeks are in a year?
52.
Times it by 52?
21 million bucks.
There you go. We're already doubling the volume. Already.
What, I say 20 to 30? I'm at 70 to 90, brother.
Well, I'm just saying. So, like, my expectation of a double every year is going to stay the same.
Uh-huh.
And I'm confident in that because we're doing the shit that makes you double.
Yeah.
I'm really focusing on marketing to make sure the leads get turned up. Like, that's what I'm focusing on right now. Mm-hmm. We added a new sales guy that's picking up momentum. Okay. We'll probably add another sales guy in, like, the spring.
Back to what I'm saying, though, is I think Kaysen in 5 years, let's say it is 90 million. Whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Maybe we're doing something different in 5 years. Who knows what the fuck 5 years is going to bring. That kid who was fucking brutally difficult to talk to when he started will probably have a management position where he makes $100,000 or more a year because he's putting the time in. I don't let him forget that either. I'm like, dude, look at yourself.
And he'll probably be married. He might have a kid or two.
In 5 years?
For sure. Dude, he's growing up. You're fucking watching it, dude. The way he's talking to the women in the office now.
Yeah.
He used to not even be able to look at the women in their eyes. He was so awkward.
He's getting there, dude. He's a really good kid. I'm proud of you, brother.
The haircut was big for him.
Haircut
too.
was big. He asked me for my barbershop, too, so he's going to keep up with it.
Yeah. That's the best part of owning a business, hands down. It's the best part.
Taking people to the barbershop with you?
Nah,
we gotta get you a fucking haircut, kid.
Watching people's lives get better.
Yeah.
Like Rick, what's gonna happen to Rick? And like I was in the barbershop today, speaking of the barbershop. And Leo knows Rick. That's how I met.
Right.
That's how I met Rick. Leo was telling me that Rick's wife had his kid in the barbershop because Leo cuts his kid's hair.
Right.
And the whole time his wife was talking about how she's never seen Rick this happy. His whole demeanor changed. He's really pumped up about the future.
Dude.
He feels like he's doing well. And he's only been with us like 3 or 4
Perfect
months.
example,
but it's just
though.
like,
He was 33 years old working in retail, and he was miserable. Like, I don't know that he didn't feel like he had other options or what it was. What did it take us, 3 months before we set him selling roofs? Like
Two months.
You just have to you find the guy with the right personality, get him around people who can teach him. Rick was very teachable. And I told him, I'm like, dude, in a year and a half, you're going to look back and be like, thank fucking God. I believe that. I think that formula we figured out, for sure.
a lot of companies aren't willing to do that.
Yeah.
They're just not.
Yeah, well, you're floating a paycheck for 2 months or more, essentially.
Yeah, I think a big part of why I'm comfortable with doing that, hiring a sales guy, paying him guaranteed check the whole time he's trained. $1,000 a week too, not nothing.
Yeah, it's not no money.
Bought him a brand new truck.
Yep.
Is because I know that if the right person's willing to work hard, they're gonna sell here. Our reputation's too good not to.
Right.
You're gonna sell.
Right.
You're just gonna. We put you in the Fox Haven shirt. We put you in the wrap truck. You're a hard worker. You're gonna get better at it. You're gonna sell.
Yeah, I mean, people. A lot of our customers, especially like the higher end customers, either come on referrals or go online and see that we're 100 plus 5-star reviews. We present so well online. Their minds are made up before we get there 90% of the time. They just need to meet somebody in person and not have them speak like they've never stepped foot on a roof before. Rick took to all that shit pretty well. Yeah, Kaysen's a perfect example of what it can be, even for someone who doesn't want to go and start their own business, and maybe does someday. But, you can be the most useful part to somebody's operation and get taken care of for your whole life.
When Kaysen started, he was picking up nails off the fucking ground, picking up trash off the ground.
Yeah, dude, he took a fucking razor knife and cut the legs off of his pants at 10:30 in the morning because he was dying.
On his first day. He brought a big plastic gallon of water and just left it next to the truck. I'm like, dude.
That's going to boil.
Yeah, but now if you look at him, he's fucking killing it. So what are some of the positives for a kid like that to just come into a blue-collar trade? AC, plumbing, roofing, carpentry, stucco, whatever it is.
It teaches you a lot of... It breaks that thing of being a kid where you're like, I'll sleep till 10. That's a big one. I don't think that starting your workday at 9 is necessarily the worst thing in the world, but I think being up at 5:30, getting home at a reasonable hour...
For me, unacceptable.
Yeah, I know. You're a fucking nut.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, you're one of them internet guys who goes, ice bath, 4 a.m.
Dude, Monica comes in at 9 sometimes.
Yeah.
And then she tries to talk to me about shit, and I'm like, I can't.
How do you have
I'm
sleepy?
like, I don't respect you.
How do you have sleepy in your voice at 9?
But then what I always tell myself is, dude, she'll stay here till 9 o'clock at night.
Right, and you'll see her sending emails at 10:30
Yeah,
at night.
so so I never say anything about it, and I know that I'm wrong, because it's not like her job's not getting done, but she rolls in at fucking 9, and it's just like.
I know. Sometimes I get to the office at 7:30 and I'm like, is he going to be a bitch to me this morning because it's 7:30?
That's from my dad shit. But I'll leave the gym at night at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and Monica will still be in there working.
Right.
So whatever. You can come in at 9. I'm still not going to respect that.
That's one thing. I think that as a young man without a direction, having to be at work on time early, in and of itself is a lifestyle change. It changes your life. Even when I lived in Manio, they used to call me Matty Mondays because I'd never fucking show up on Monday, dude. Especially during football season. But my roommates all worked at 9:30, and I would leave the house at 5 or 5:30. That felt awful for years because I would still try to hang with them at that time. I had to separate But even at the same time, I didn't fucking do it right. But there was still something in me that, like, even on the weekends when we were hungover and shit, I would be up and I would have to be out of the house by like 9 or 9:30, whatever it was, when I'm like 24. Mm-hmm. Just because, like, my body was getting used to.
And some of them guys are probably laying on the couch just lounging, hungover, lounging,
Man,
sleeping
I was hella
in.
jealous. I'm like, why don't you have an insufferable anxiety to get out and do something? And it's just because, you know, it's a different way of living, I think. I think that's an added structure. I think that...
Also
like,
the perks.
and the perks will get you. What you do during a workday, and this is my experience specifically, like office versus construction. In the office, I could fake the funk and be like, yeah, but this thing got fucked up or whatever. My computer, like, I would fucking jam up my own computer and call IT. Like, I mean, I don't know. I've been out the game for 2.5 hours. So there's that too. Like, there's somebody on your ass. Like, are you working? Mm-hmm. And then, like, there's a little bit of finishing something and being like, I fucking did that. That's huge.
That part's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, I remember I would finish a roof, and it could be 7 o'clock at night. I'd be standing in the fucking street taking pictures.
Yeah, like, I just
proud of
put
myself.
a fucking... Like, I used to finish apartments, put the ductwork in, go back, set the equipment, and then it would be completely finished. I'd go around, put the fucking registers on, and then once... they were ready for startup, you would go into a fully finished apartment and put a thermostat on and turn their air conditioning on and start getting cold. And I'd be like, I did something for somebody for the next 20 fucking years. I did something for somebody. So that's, like, really cool. Like, to step back and see something that you did is a sense of accomplishment I don't think you get in, like, here's your stack of shit for the day. Make this stack of shit a smaller stack of shit, and tomorrow when you get here, there's going to be another stack of shit.
Right.
That's not to say that, you know, the construction work doesn't eventually be like, this is the same fucking apartment for the 4,000th time.
Right.
You know? But it is like a physical thing in front of you. Like, I'm done. I'm moving on.
Dude, and as human beings, we're not supposed to just sit at a fucking chair and...
That's another big thing. But, like, I think I've maintained, like, a level of being able to move about pretty comfortably because I'm on and off ladders all day. I pick up shit, move shit around. Like, I have an active lifestyle without... trying for an active lifestyle, more so than a lot of people.
You missed one of my favorite benefits about being
You
a
can
blue
smoke
collar
cigs.
guy. Okay, that was
True.
might be my favorite.
That's number one, brother.
Nah, but you can fucking be yourself.
Oh.
You can joke. Dude, it's notorious that blue collar guys joke and have a fucking good time. It's notorious. And that's one of my favorite parts, dude. You can't talk like we talk at fucking, name like a big corporate job.
GlaxoSmithKline.
Pfizer. Google. Dude, can you imagine me and you went and Google and talked the way we talk?
No, dude. It sounds like I have trash in my mouth when I speak normally, without the cursing and the...
But I like that. We're real motherfuckers, basically,
Yes.
is what it is.
I do like that, too. And I like when people, like, crack that door for you, like, at an appointment. Some guy will be like, that's a little fucked up, right? I'm like, it's so fucked up! It's so fucked up, dude! Because it is nice to just feel like you're being yourself. Like, I got written up at that office job I was working at because I had my headphones in listening to music and somebody heated up lunch and it stunk. I don't know what it was, but it stunk. And I went, the fuck is that smell? And I stood up and started looking around. Apparently I was like, what the fuck is that smell in a silent office building? And the floor manager called me in and he was like, hey, Matt. He's like, I can't have you yelling profanity. I was like, what did I say? He was like, everyone on the floor apparently heard you say, what the fuck is that smell about somebody's lunch?
Yeah, but what the fuck is that smell?
Yeah, it stunk, dude. It did stink.
Yeah, but dude, that's so unnatural. That whole environment is so unnatural.
Yeah.
The whole cubicle office environment, the way everybody is, the work you're doing, it's fucking unnatural.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that there's obviously industries set up for that to be a part of them, but it never felt good to be there.
It's funny because, you know, in a few years here, we're going to have an office that is that.
We're on our way, dude.
But it'll still be fun, dude. We'll have a basketball net. You know, it'll be...
bar.
Yeah, it'll be... There's always going to be a gym. There's motorcycles. So, like, we'll always put our little flavor on it. But, I mean, there's office work that needs to be done.
Our biggest misstep in building those offices was not putting fucking cubicles in. We got no room. We got 1,000 square feet of office and 4 people work there.
Yeah, I was thinking about that yesterday. Like, when we need to hire more office people, I'm just going to give up my office.
What's the first job you didn't fuck up. This one, didn't
What
it?
do you mean?
The first job you weren't just like king dipshit at. You didn't.
Oh,
fuck it
in
up.
life?
Yeah, this one, right?
Dude, I have a crazy pattern with my job history.
Yeah.
I was the best employee anybody's ever had.
Until you stopped showing up for work or stole from them.
For a time. For a time. No, I was like people. I've always been a hard worker since I was a kid. I used to mulch my neighbors' yards, and
Yeah.
I would do like an insane amount of work in one day, and they'd be like, "I can't believe you just did that in one day." I'd work till like 8 o'clock at night as a kid. I just always been like that, but I always had a bad drug problem, man. Always. So I was always getting high before work. I was always trying to find ways to steal from my boss. I'll tell one story to illustrate this. I was working for a roofing company. They had me doing roof repairs, but they were also grooming me to be a salesperson. So I was doing like kind of what Willis does, part-time sales, part-time work. And they loved me, dude. They thought I was the best thing ever. They couldn't believe like they got me. They were like excited for the future, and they were all excited. They put me under the sales guy, Lou, I remember. And we were doing this copper metal roof on the front porch on Monday, and it was Friday.
I know where this one's going.
Yeah, dude, and I was a horrible drug addict at this point. Horrible.
They thought
horrible.
they were doing a copper metal roof
Just
on Monday.
another thing I did. One time I went to this BNI group with her, the owner. It was a couple that owned
What is
it.
it? B&I group.
Business and networking.
Oh, okay.
Like you just get brunch and you sit around a table, you meet people. And she stopped by the school to give her daughter money, and she opened her center console, and she just had like all this cash in her center console, like not organized, just bills thrown in the center console.
Lady?
She opened it. Yeah,
You're toast.
she opened it, took some bills out, and put it out the window to her daughter, and I was like, what the fuck?
You're getting burnt, sweetheart.
Yeah, dude, I hit it every day from then on out. Every day. But on this Friday, I saw the whole copper package sitting in the back of the shop. And the job, we were doing the metal roof Monday. I was a part of the crew. I went back on Saturday morning, real early, like 4:30 in the morning, and I threw all of it in my truck and I left.
See it? Never.
Scrapped it on Saturday, got high all weekend, showed up to work Monday, called them.
Where's all the copper?
I was like, hey, did somebody bring the copper out to the job already? They're like, what are you talking about? It's out back of the shop. I'm like, no, I'm back here. It's not here. Fucking lying, dude.
Yeah, you're a bad guy. You're a piece of trash.
That's what the drugs do.
But no, but yes, for sure. But that shit happens whether people are addicted to drugs or not. Dudes get fucking chapped up at work. We had a dude who would steal scrap out of the back of the HVAC company.
Well, then that's a real scumbag. Because not that the drugs make it excusable, but like, dude, when you're a drug addict, like, you're just going to do whatever the fuck you got to do.
Yeah.
The job that you have, you're like playing a character and like faking your way through life because all you really care about is getting high.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that, as soon as I quit doing drugs, I would never steal from anybody ever. You know what I mean?
I'll steal from you right now. You got cash in this house?
But back to your original question, I was the best employee anyone's ever had until
You fucked them.
I was like dope sick one day and I couldn't show up to work, and then I was just like, fuck that job, or I just stopped going. I pretty much just stopped going to every job. Is that how you were? Yeah, I'm not doing that job anymore.
No, yeah, like, so my office job, I worked at for a little over a year. I did like a 3-month, they do like a probation or whatever. And then they gave me my adjusted pay. So they gave me like a 27-cent raise or something. But then they loaded me up with like a new responsibility. And I was like, all right, I was clearly a dipshit for the first 90 days. 27 cents is fucking no money. Like, maybe I'll try. So I worked for the next year. And I mean, like, worked. I tried to work. And then they gave me a raise of 57 cents. And I left my desk, or I left my supervisor's office and went to my desk and called and asked about a job in HVAC. I started doing HVAC, and maybe
You already kind of knew how to do HVAC a
a little bit.
from
I was like a good HVAC laborer when I did it, because we did it when we were kids. Like, I could pull ductwork lines, I could hammer duct together, whatever. But I wasn't like
you didn't
skilled.
really know shit.
No, I didn't know how to fix anything. I didn't know how to make shit work. Like, I just knew how to install shit. And then, like, I guess probably like 4 months into working for the company I was with, there was this guy there. His name was Ken. I attribute Ken with growing me up big time. He was like, he was from where I was from. He was like 8 years older than me. He liked me. He had a helper he didn't like. We laid off a bunch of guys. And he was like, I don't want my helper. He's like, don't lay Matt off. I'll take Matt. So I started working with him. He did all the replacements, residential replacements, replacing heaters and air conditioners. So he started teaching me. And he would ride me in a way like I wanted to fucking kill him. Like, I told him, One day he was such a motherfucker.
Another big benefit of blue collar trades is that people are gonna ride you, and people are motherfuckers, and people are hard on you. It's gonna toughen you out.
Yeah, it makes you one of two people. Like you're either like fuck this and you go back to just pulling ductwork, or you're like, who's this motherfucker? Like I can do what you do. What do you think this is? So you learn it and get good enough at it. There was one day where he was being such a fuck to me that in the morning I woke up, I put on ball shorts, a t-shirt, and sneakers. He used to pick me up, and I went out front to be. I was like, he's way bigger than me too. I was like, I'm fucking swinging. I was like, it sat with me all night. I woke up early and didn't put work clothes on. I was like, I'm scrapping this dickhead. So I went out and I opened the fucking door to his van, and he had bought me a coffee and a breakfast sandwich. He was like, I had a bad day yesterday. He's like, and you got most of it. And he was like, what the fuck are you wearing? I was like, oh, this is what I slept in. My bad. I'll be right back.
I was gonna fuck you up.
I told him about it like a year later, too. He was like, damn, dude, you were going to beat me up? I was like, I was going to fucking try. But that guy, probably like a year into being with that company, I was working side by side with one of our friends doing a double heater replacement, and I was playing helper to this guy. Ken was outside doing the outdoor units. And he came inside, and only one of the heaters was broken down. And I was handing tools, like being a helper, because that's what I was to Ken. I knew how to do it all. I just didn't have it. He was like, get the fuck outside. And we go outside. He's like, yo, what are you doing? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you're 22. He's like, now's the time where like your friends are finishing college. He's like, you know how to do this shit. He's like, is this your fucking job, or are you going to make this your career? He's like, because you're in there like it's your job. Like you're just handing somebody something. You're doing your job. He's like, go in there and fucking show them you know what you're doing. And I went beast mode. I fucking snapped in there. I just set the most beautiful heater ever. But that was like a thing in my head that I hadn't, it never clicked because I didn't have a direction in my life. He was like, dude, you can either hand somebody tools until you're fired, or you fucking nut up and become the man. And I became the man. And I was for real the man there for a while. It was there was a handful of us, but I was the man.
So a flip switch where you were like, oh, this motherfucker's right. It's not a job. I could do something here.
Yeah. Like I knew, like I'd been to his house. I met his wife and his kids. Like he had a nice life. And I was like, you know, when he said that to me, he's like, this shit doesn't come from being the tool bag guy. He's like, it's a benefit that you work with me, obviously. Like you are my tool bag guy. But the second another dude steps in the room, boss him up immediately. You know everything I know, maybe just not as refined yet, but don't let anybody fucking step in front of you and make you their helper. He's like, get in there and fucking get it. And I did. And it changed everything. It changed the entire trajectory of my career. Like I went from making $14 an hour. Within like 3 months, I was at like $22 an hour. And within a year and a half after that, I was one of the higher paid dudes at the company. And it was because I realized that there was something different about me than a lot of guys there. I understood everything that needed to be done. And I had a thing in my head where I was like, this isn't just a job. Like, this is what I make it. I can make it whatever I want it to be. And I feel that applies to everybody who works for us, anybody who works for anybody. You can make it whatever you want it to be. If you want to show up and push your broom and clean up the pile at the end of the day, that's your job. Good. But if you want to show up and you're going to actually grind for it, somebody at some point is going to look at you and be like, we got to get this broom out of this kid's hand. He fucking cares about it. Like, something else he should be doing.
Kaysen had that attitude.
For a while.
Like, work sucks. What am I doing here? I had this shit job. I'm not going anywhere. And it's like, dude, look around you, man. We keep moving up. There's all sorts of shit for you to do. Like, you know, you can have my fucking job. There's a ton of more shit you can do.
Dude, I've said that to him 100 times. I'm like, dude, there's no saying that in 5 years from now you don't just do what I do and I'm history. He's like, well, what are you going to do? I'm like, that's something you also have to stop doing. Stop worrying about what other motherfuckers are doing.
Yeah.
What was it? Don't clock anybody else's time. Don't count anybody else's dollars. That's what another thing from Ken. He's like, you never worry about anybody else's fucking paycheck.
Yeah.
Grind for yours. And you never worry about what anybody else is working on. Work on your shit. It's not the same thing. It's never the same thing. Like, sure, there will be days where a laborer works harder than the most skilled guy in the business. the reason those days exist is because the most skilled guys in the business worked harder days for a longer period.
Yeah, he already did it.
Has.
He already did it.
Like when you pull up to the job and the foreman's sitting in the truck and the guys are on the roof doing the simple task, it's because the foreman's done the task a million fucking times.
Right.
People don't understand.
Every time.
Yes.
Every time.
And the truth is, most of the time, the foreman could get out of the truck, take the tool out of your hand, do it better and faster than you did.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't because he's affording you the same opportunity somebody afforded him.
Yeah.
That's a thing that is lost on people, young people for sure, in trades. They'll work for somebody for a year and learn a new skill in their 11th month and ask for a raise in their 12th month.
Mm-hmm.
You owe them a year before you learn that skill to be paid for that skill because they carried you that whole time and paid you a wage you probably weren't worth so they could teach you. This is kind of more in the vein of what we want the podcast to be, is us talking about what our experiences have been in the trades.
Also today, I feel like we touched on my dislike that blue-collar trades are a backup plan for people.
Yeah, that's a
and
big
look
one.
down on, and I don't like that.
Yeah, dude, like someone sent me a fucking meme online of a guy driving to work. It was Tony Soprano. It was a video from The Sopranos.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing at the top said, driving at 5:30 a.m. to your blue-collar job because you wanted to be funny in high school. And I'm like,
Yeah.
feels like I'm doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand that it's a funny video. But there's a part of me that's like, is that a fucking personal attack, dude? You know? I get it. Like, you become a felon, you tattoo your fucking face because you're addicted to drugs, you get out of jail, and you start drywalling. I get it. Like, there's not a job for you there. So I understand why the stigma exists.
But that guy can go on to learn drywall, start a drywall business, and become a millionaire.
Yeah, he could drywall the inside of a fucking skyscraper and never work again if he gets his life together. It is for real. This is gonna sound corny as shit. It is an endless venue of opportunity. Get in there, learn it, and be the best at it, and that's it. I think that's our whole, part of our whole thing. Is like,
Because what else are you going to do?
Right.
You're going to go to college. You're going to get out. You're going to go work in an office somewhere. Someone's going to give you 27-cent raises every year.
And don't get me wrong, that's for some people. That's
That's for nobody, dude.
Incorrect.
That's for people that gave up.
Tell that to a couple of my former coworkers. The aim here is, I think, for anybody who's wading into the territory to understand that you can fucking sit on the waterfront and drink nice tequila with your bud on a Friday, all on the back of blue-collar work.
From roofing. I was just a fucking roofer.
All on the back of blue-collar work.
Right. And I think it's good for an 18-year-old kid to just do that.
I do too.
If you don't want to go to college, it's all right, man.
And what I think is better for an 18-year-old kid, and this is almost definitely for another episode, instead of doing 2 years of college with no aim, go learn a trade for 2 years and decide if you want to go to college. That clock.
Let's do that next week.
Yeah.
That'll be next week's topic.
Yeah.
College versus learn a blue-collar trade.
Especially fresh out. It's wild.
What?
Wild.
Unless you want to be a fucking attorney.
If
And
you're
you know
dead
that. Right.
set on
And then
anything.
that's different.
Your life's passion is to just fucking be a high school teacher. Go be a teacher.
Yeah.
That's great.
But I'd say
If you're lost,
yeah.
take a fucking
For the
minute.
60% of kids that were like us that didn't want to do shit and didn't feel passionate about nothing,
And
had
we
no
both
aim.
found success in blue collar industries, and both of us paid student loans we should have never taken because we were fucking.
Just doing the thing.
We'll fucking talk about that next week.
Just doing the thing. Yeah, so episode 6 of the Trade Up podcast because you're on the twos.
Who do you got in between this time? Who gives a fuck? See you next time.